Jody McDonald. Jody, Matt, welcome back.
Hey, how are you, Steve Jones?
I'm doing great. You?
I can't complain. If I did, who the hell would listen? I really can't complain because last week I got to go down to Florida for a couple of days, spend some time with the old man, took in spring training action. So, actually, unlike usually, I really don't have anything to complain about.
If you don't mind me asking, how is he doing?
Dad's doing well. He's 96, and he's still sharp as a tack. Yeah. And just sitting around talking old school baseball with him. My daughter and I went down. She was surprised. He didn't know she was coming. He knew I was coming, but didn't know she was coming. But we got to hang and have a couple of great meals and talk baseball with a guy who knows it better. Taught me everything I know. That's for damn sure.
You know what's amazing? And I'll get to a couple things in a moment. You may be working in another sport, but when you're learning from somebody who's there day in and day out, it gives you a perspective really on every sport because there's commonality between the issues they have to deal with.
Agree 100%. My father's a huge baseball, football, baseball fan. He follows them all and took me to Knicks games growing up and Jet games growing up as well. So, yeah, mostly baseball, but I learned a lot about all sports from the old man.
All right, so now let's get to the NCAA tournament. I made the point earlier that the games, so many of the games were so exciting, came down to the end, fun plays, win or lose plays, and yet I felt the quality of the total games was mediocre. Did you see the same or not?
Here's the answer is yes, and I think there's a specific reason why someone like myself and you who follow it as close as we do and are impacted all season long. For the casual fans, you get to this everybody's got to play a bracket, everybody has fun, but you're trying to learn on the fly, and you got to learn that much more because there are so many transfers with NIL being what it is, and guys being able to just pick up and leave and go to another school anytime they want. There's not the continuity of a guy. We understand the superstar players are going to be freshmen. They're going to go to the NBA the next year. But it used to be you could recognize a guy or two from the previous year. If that's all you are is a tournament watcher, it's a whole new roster every time you turn in as soon as the tournament starts. So you got to relearn everything. And I do think it takes away from both the excitement and your knowledge if you're going to follow it as closely as you need to.
Well, I also think, and this goes on the coaching part, because I think this part is difficult. You're trying to merge rosters together, and you've got 30-some-odd games to do it. And whenever you get a transfer, pro and sometimes con, you are inheriting the habits they have developed. And sometimes it doesn't always merge well with your team, and I think that's part of it.
Absolutely right. Now, you would think 30-some-odd games played before you get to the big dance, you should be able to merge it all in 30 games, but there is something to be said for continuity over years and guys who have played with each other for 1, 2, 3 years, sometimes 4. There are still some seniors in college basketball, so that's the coach's job. They know it. It's become more like the NBA in that there is a roster change and turnover every single year. Shoot, I think it's more in college basketball now than it is in the NBA. And that's what the good coaches get paid for, is being able to take a new team every year and get them to a level so that you can be competitive if you're one of those programs, blue blood programs, by the time you get to the tournament.
Let me ask you about Pitino for a moment, because, I mean, your experience around him would have been when he was with the Knicks for obvious reasons. But he has now taken 4 teams, Providence, Kentucky, Louisville, and now St. John's, to the Sweet 16. The off-the-court stuff aside, okay, this is not part of this conversation, in my opinion. What makes him the kind of coach that can take his and beat yours and has the potential to take yours and maybe beat his?
Yes, I did have Coach on as a guest a couple of times over the years, both on the collegiate level and the pro level, and it just always comes across as passion for the game. That he is unbelievably married to the game of basketball. When he works with these players, when he practices with the, he meets with these players, he passes that passion along. And I think you see that in this year's St. John's team. Another team with a lot of new faces because they're like everybody else. You can upgrade your roster with adding a little NIL money. You do just that. They've got as talented a roster to be a Sweet 16. Wouldn't be surprised if they made it to the Elite 8.
Mm-hmm.
That's Patino. He's that good at selling his way of playing basketball. Now that's the St. John's way of basketball, and it's the first time they've been in the Sweet 16 in decades. So give the coach all the credit for what he's done this year.
No question. All right. Who do you still see? There's 16 left. Who are you keeping your eye on? Which team piques your interest?
My bracket got busted, as it usually does, and with all of us, by the second day of the tournament. I got up to a good start, 7-1 early, a little less in the afternoon, and not near as good day two. So my bracket is going nowhere fast, but I still do have my Final Four teams. I thought Arizona was the team to beat coming in. They were number one. They should have been number one. They go 9 deep.
Yeah.
Good luck finding another team in this tournament that goes 9 deep the way that Arizona does. So I thought they were the team to beat. I've stuck with that. Michigan was the other one, and then I took a couple of twos in UConn and Houston, who's probably got the best defense in the entire tournament.
Right.
So I had a Houston-Arizona final. They're both still alive, so I'm not going to move off it just so I look good, even though I won't make any money on my bracket this year, which is fine. But I thought all along Arizona was the best team in college basketball all year.
The one I'm looking at as not a 1 or a 2 or a 3, and I know they're only a 6-person team. It's Arkansas. Just something about it. They got a guy that can play. Some big guys that can play, and Calipari can coach it. So I'm looking at them as the one that's not a part of the internal group that I think still has a shot. So, all right.
But if you could take a shot outside of a highly ranked team, I would say Arkansas is right there because the Cuff kid is just a stone-cold stud. And they're talking about it. But it's funny because no one talked about him at the beginning of the year. But then he put on a couple of huge games, and now they're talking about maybe him being the best guard coming out of the University of Arkansas ever. You and I are old enough to remember Sidney Moncrief, so I might make an argument there. But he's a hell of a player. He's going to be a real good player in the next level as well.
Sidney Moncrief, the triplets. All right, so I want to get Andy Dalton picked up by the Eagles. Look, I mean, he's not starting. But the world has told us Tanner McKee is incredible. Why Andy Dalton?
Because it's a safety net.
Yeah.
It's probably a pretty smart move by Howie. He's what Sam Howell was last year.
Yeah.
If they keep Tanner McKee, then Andy Dalton will never see the field. But if someone is going to get crazy, and it'll be day 2 of the draft, the quarterbacks that go in the first round go in the first round. How many will drop down? Is there somebody likes? If a team is leaning toward making a quarterback change with a draft pick day 1 or round 2, and they get shut out, that the team takes it right in front of it, someone trades in front of them, and all of a sudden they're sitting there and they don't like any of the quarterbacks who are left to be drafted. There's not a free agent out there they're like, oh, well, the Eagles will give him to us if we give him. I think Howie's going to try and hold out for a 2. He could make it a 3 that could move up to a 2 depending on playing time. If someone gets a little desperate and is willing to meet Howie's asking price, then I think they'll trade McKee and Dalton will just be the backup. But if nobody is willing to pay, then they'll go back in with the same exact way they had it rosterized last year. Hurts the starter, McKee, 2, veteran guy to be part of the room, and in case both of them get hurt, be able to be there. It's a nice play. It's not going to change the Eagles' season much one way or the other, and you hope, really, that he never sees the field, that he's just a good teammate, a good guy in the quarterback room. But it does give you the option, if McKee is going to have to deal, if you get too good an offer that you can't pass on trading McKee, you needed to have someone there to be able to step in and be your backup, and I surely think the Red Rifle is good enough to do that.
I've always felt, and you and I have talked about this, that what you do in free agency then sets up in part how you draft, because you've signed guys positionally in free agency. So where are the Eagles positioned with the draft based on what they did and did not do in free agency?
A lot of it depends. Well, the biggest thing depends on, do you believe their offensive linemen, who will be dealing without Jeff Stoutland, their mentor and guy, but they were all talking up a good game of being healthy, Dickerson and Lane Johnson. If you believe in them and you get them all in for a physical before the draft, just to make sure they are having and getting healthy the way they say they are, then you don't have to use an offensive lineman pick in the first round. If not, it's got to be part of the mix for not only this year, but future years going forward. I'll optimistically believe the Eagles are okay and they can wait on an offensive lineman till either the second or third round or the third or fourth round. And if that's the case, two positions: edge rusher, safety.
Yep.
They need an upgrade on the edge. I know Brandon Graham is coming back, and he gives them great part-time work, but they could still use some serious depth at that position. So that would probably be my number one priority. I think edge is a little bit more important positionally than safety, but don't let safety slip by the boards. They haven't really replaced Blankenship. I've been an Epps fan since he's been an Eagle, and God bless him, came in, did a nice job for him at the end of the season, and they re-signed him because of that. I would rather have Marcus Epps as a guy coming off the bench than as a full-time starter. So Eagles' first-round pick will probably be an edge guy, but if it's not, if the perfect safety is sitting there, if the second-ranked safety drops down to 23 and they really like the kid, they may actually pull the trigger on a safety in the second round.
Right, because that's the key. There's so many, like, for example, the Eagles ended up with just a tremendous pick at corner, who was one of the shutdown corners, because he fell to them. Everybody's drafting other positions. And Howie had to be sitting there going, this guy is still alive? You got to be kidding me. So a safety can fall to them, because safety normally is not a high priority NFL draft pick, right?
No. Never has been, and I don't think it will be this year. There are a couple teams like the Eagles who just look like on paper right now to not necessarily have two, pencil them in, they're going to be our starters, no questions asked type teams. So, like I said, into the 20s, if three safeties have come off the board, you're getting the fourth-ranked safety. I think Howie will pass. But if the second-ranked or the third-ranked safety is there and they've got their scouting reports and they're going to put their board together and they're going to have them ranked the way they're ranked, and none of us will know even after the fact. I don't think they'll let us know, but you might be able to find out if you've got good enough sources and contacts. They know that they could still use upgrading at the safety position, and Howie will deal with it when he needs to.
One NBA question, and that is about Tyrese Maxey. The conversation around the Sixers almost always centers around whether Embiid's playing or not. Maxey plays every game. When you watch him play, what impresses you?
So funny that you ask. I was at Parks yesterday for the tournament. We ever watch the games, bet on the games and the like, and they brought a couple of guys over to shoot the breeze with the people, one of which was Jimmy Lynam, who I've been friends with for 30 years, respected NBA coach, broadcast now, NBC Sports out of Philly, and he and I talked about Maxey and the Sixers and Embiid. We both agreed that 2 years ago when the Sixers signed Paul George and extended Embiid, no one knew that Tyrese Maxey was going to be able to get his game to All-NBA second team. A star player, maybe even an all-star player, and All-NBA second team guy a year and a half ago, nobody saw that coming. Wow. And even Jimmy admitted to it, and I know how big a fan Jimmy was. I didn't, and I liked Maxey from the draft day on, but I never thought he could get to this level this fast. Again, attitude. He just has, and Jimmy gets to practice and stuff like that, something that media guys only get the tail end of. He gets to see more. He said he's the hardest worker on the team. It's not even close. Nobody puts in the effort like he does, and he became a superstar player last year. You thought there was the possibility for a drop-off, not even. he is still the most motivated guy on that team. So when they picked him, they not only picked a talented player, but they took a very motivated player and has a great attitude, just has a great attitude in life, but certainly a great attitude about basketball. So if you believe that the amount that you put in will give you in return back what you put in, Tyrese Maxey is a perfect example of, give the effort, you will reap the benefits.
Well, the timing of that question was pretty good. Jimmy Lynam, not bad. All right.
I just talking with a little under 24 hours ago. It was late afternoon yesterday. Jimmy and I spent 10 minutes talking about Maxey.
So baseball starts this week. It's a marathon. What are a couple of things you're interested to see as to how the marathon develops?
Specifically from a Phillies point of view, or do you want overall Major League Baseball?
I'll start with the Phillies, but then I'll go to MLB.
Gotcha. Phillies, I think people are underselling the Phillies. People are putting too much emphasis on the fact that they didn't get a $100 million superstar free agent. They re-signed one for $150, which counts for me. Yes. But everybody wants the new ad. They want the new guy. They want the fresh face. And Dombrowski didn't get that. He came close with Bichette, but he ended up getting an outrageous contract from the Mets. I'm not going to give him a hard time about that. If somebody wants to blatantly overpay, well, there's nothing you can do but shrug your shoulders. The fact that they have, if Wheeler comes back, they have as good a starting rotation as anybody in all of baseball. Yep. They've upgraded the bullpen, which is a key. And remember, they didn't have Duran for the entire year last year, only half. But now they've got him from opening day on. People are, at least my opinion, overestimating the improvement of the Braves and the Mets. The Braves already have two starters in their rotation who aren't going to be able to start this season. Strider's on the IL. Yep. Schwellenbacher's not going to pitch till June. Yep. So I know the Braves had a lot of injuries last year, and you can project they'll be better if healthier. Well, guess what? They're not healthier.
Right.
Their rotation is a bit of a mess. And we'll see what Bichette does with the Mets. I think he's a very good player. But I think they're going to miss Pete Alonso.
Yes.
He was not only their best power hitter and most home runs ever in the history of the franchise, he was also the biggest leader in the clubhouse. Mm-hmm. So those who are predicting the two teams who are closest, well, that's not even true. The Braves weren't even in third place. They were in fourth place last year. The Phillies won the division by 13 games over the Mets and were 20 games ahead of the Braves. I don't think either of those two teams have made up that kind of ground. So I'm going to pick the Phillies to win their third straight divisional title. And anywhere between 93 and 96 wins. They won 95 last year. So right about the same number, and that will be good enough to win the division. So I think the Phillies just need a couple of guys that they've had on the team, Bohm and Stott, who will both have outstanding springs up from what they did last year. Schwarber will be Schwarber. Crawford will give him a new look at the bottom of the lineup. Adolis Garcia will at least do what Castellanos did last year, and I know he'll be significantly better defensively in right field, and I think his bat will be the same. Add it all up, and the Phillies are going to win the NL East again.
And then finally, overall MLB outside the East, what interests you there?
Here are two things. Number one, a lot of guys, and we will know in the next 24, 48 hours when you get to see the exact rosters. It seems to me like there are a lot of youngsters, rookies, and or guys who got called up during the year, didn't play a full season, and guys that don't have a full season Major League Baseball under their belt. There's a pretty good roster turnover just in baseball in general, and I always think that's exciting. You're always waiting for the next superstar to come, who's going to show right off the bat, first year, and becomes an all-star level type player. I think we got a bunch in Major League Baseball like that, so I'm very much excited to see that. And give Rob Manfred, I know Manfred can open mouth and insert foot with the best, but what he has done for baseball with the rule changes over the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years has been pretty good. The shot clock, the pitch clock has absolutely worked to pick up the pace of the game. And they did, even though I was dead set against it, I got to admit, the ABS, the Automated Balls and Strike Challenge, has actually been very effective in spring games, and they're going to use it in regular season games this year. I thought it was going to be something that would slow down the game. It hasn't. Everybody understands it. Quick challenge. It takes them about 10 seconds, 15 max to look at the video. Boom, they put it on the screen.
Yep.
Everybody gets to see it. I think it's going to significantly improve the game. So got to give a little credit to Commissioner Rob Manfred.
Agreed on all fronts. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much.
Steve Jones, you are the man. Anytime, my friend.
The great Jody McDonald, Jody Mack.